What if I told you that the latest DBD killer isn't a DBD killer at all? For clarity's sake, I'm not referring to killers from the game Dead by Daylight when I say, quote, DBD killer. I'm not talking about the Trapper or the Clown or the Houndmaster or anything like that. I'm talking about this concept that we, the DBD playing public, have become so fascinated by. We're always on the lookout for the next game that's going to give DBD a run for its money, and maybe, just maybe, one of these games will actually snatch the crown and make it so that DBD is no longer the king of the hill. We've seen quite a few attempts at this. There was Friday the 13th, but it was doomed to fail. Its mechanics weren't sustainable long term, and even if I'm wrong, and somehow they could have pulled it off mechanically, the game was killed due to licensing issues, so the whole thing is moot anyway. Then there was last year, which was, it was pretty forgettable, but it could have had some legs if it came out before DBD, but that's a case of shoulda, woulda, coulda. It came out after, and it wasn't given the same grace period, so it just didn't work. Then there was Video Horror Society, VHS, and that one does make me sad. That one had a lot of potential, but the devs just honestly had no idea what they were doing, and they ended up killing it. So the biggest threat to the throne ended up dying this pitiful death, just completely off screen, so to speak. And it's kind of like if instead of I don't know, the Red Wedding, Robb Stark had just died falling off his horse on the way to River Run or something stupid like that. It was anticlimactic. It was frustrating. We had this really big threat built up to DBD's empire and it was just ruined, just horrible. And then of course we had all these licensed attempts like Evil Dead, Killer Clowns, Texas Chainsaw, but they all failed too. I hate it for Evil Dead and Killer Clowns because those looked really cool. And I actually enjoyed the Evil Dead game a lot. But, I mean, just being honest, it was never going to take down DBD. Not that that is what it necessarily wanted to do, but that's always the narrative with asymmetrical games like this. I will say, screw the Texas Chainsaw game. I hated that. Gun Interactive is so shady, and I'm just definitely never buying anything from them again. I despise Gun Interactive. I despise how dishonest, rude, and full of themselves they are after accomplishing nothing. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to be objective about that. I am glad that one failed. Not only did I not find it fun, I just cannot stand the developers. Publishers. They were not the developers, they were the publishers. But anyway, yeah. Putting all that aside, because that's a whole can of worms, there were also 1,000 little attempts here and there that I just don't care to mention. The point is, it feels like once a year or so, we always get a new game coming out that people swear is going to give DBD some real competition. And I'm not opposed to that, by the way. I think competition is good. I think I've made this comparison before, but I'm a fan of pro wrestling. And I think that WWE was at its absolute worst when it had a good 2 decades of no real competition. And then lo and behold, a billionaire starts funding this new rival promotion, AEW, and suddenly WWE gets really good again. That's what competition does. If you've got 2 places selling similar products, they got to be better so that they can beat out the competition. And that's good. So I'm all for DBD having competition. I don't want this to sound like I'm some kind of DBD shill that wants nobody to step up to DBD. I do. I really, really do. I'm still mad about the clown nerf. I'm still very mad about that. So yeah, give me some competition. But look, it comes up and people always swear the next one's going to kill them. And not everyone falls for it, but it is usually a considerable portion of the terminally online part of the DBD community. Content creators are especially guilty of this. I give them somewhat of a pass because I get it. I really do. If you're making content for the exact same game for a decade, you hope something shakes it up, I'm sure. If you're streaming, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day for years doing the same game, you always hope something comes up. But that's why we always get these, these videos. Oh, this is the one. This is going to kill it. This is going to beat Dead by Daylight. But, I mean, let's be realistic. The cycle is pretty fixed at this point. A new game is announced, the crowd goes wild. Ooh, this is the one. Everybody says that this may be the one. And then, boom, dead. Dead within a year. Servers either completely empty or mostly empty, or they're taken down entirely. Rinse and repeat. And I really, really, really thought that that's what we were going to get with the game I want to talk about today. So as you likely know, the license for Hellraiser was pulled from Dead by Daylight. After joining the game in late 2021, the license holders decided not to renew with Behavior and saw to it that Pinhead and Chatterer would no longer be available unless somebody had already bought them. And that's where the cycle was supposed to start, right? I was waiting for a while to hear about some new Hellraiser game, one with an asymmetrical playstyle, one that appealed heavily to nostalgia, one that had like a 50-50 shot of being published by Gunn. Thankfully and tragically, it seems like they're too busy getting ready to ruin Michael Myers to do the same with Pinhead. Thank goodness, right? But also, damn. Sorry, Mike. All of this brings us to a few days ago when Saber Interactive tweeted out a teaser for an upcoming Hellraiser game. I feel like most everybody had the same reaction where we all just sighed and said, okay, yep, here we go again. But then more information came out about the game, and to my surprise, it's all really, really good news to this point. Let's get the best news out of the way first and foremost. The game will not be an attempt at being a DBD killer. I'm going to cite an article from Xbox Wire and link it down in the description below if you want to read the full thing, which I encourage you to do. It's pretty short, but there's some fun info in there, and I think it's just good to, don't always take a YouTuber's word for it because, we lie. We do be lying. That's a thing YouTubers do sometimes. But I'll give it to you straight. Don't worry about it. Basically, an executive producer on the upcoming game, called Hellraiser Revival, by the way, answered some questions, and now I'm actually super excited. In the producer's own words, Revival will be a, quote, story-driven horror game, where the main character uses a puzzle box called the Genesis configuration to save his girlfriend from the labyrinth. Also cool is that the game is said to be inspired by the first two Hellraiser films, which is encouraging because those are the only two that everybody agrees are good. From there, it gets really dicey. But everybody in their right mind agrees that the first two Hellraiser films are good movies. And they are. The game is said to be, quote, closer than we think in terms of a release date, and we'll know more about it later this year. So, yes, my cynicism looks like it may have been way off base here. The initial news and the screenshots aren't enough to guarantee that it will be a hit, but I actually am really excited about where this one goes. Hellraiser is a really cool franchise, and while I'd love to see Pinhead come back to DVD, this is fresh, it's new, and it's a really exciting turn of events. The best part about this is that because it's not an asymmetrical multiplayer game, that not only means that it won't be dead within a year, so your money may be a little safer, but also that DVD fans will have no reason to get all tribalistic about it like they did with especially VHS. And I'm not saying everybody did. Again, sometimes I'll say it and I'm talking about one person and somebody that I'm not talking about comes in the comments. It's like, oh, well, I never did that. It's like, that's awesome. That's good. That should be how you approach it. But there's no denying. I saw a lot of tribalism from DVD fans, with VHS in particular, but it comes out every time, There's always some people who are like, oh, well, I don't want that to succeed. And it's like, again, competition's good. So we're not going to get any of that, because realistically, if this is a single-player game, its competition is not Dead by Daylight. Its competition would be anything that like Resident Evil is doing, or anything Silent Hill is doing. But I mean, honestly, when it comes to horror games, when the tide rises, all boats float. So I think it's good. We need more good horror games, and that's exciting for me. I am personally just very excited to get more news on this one, especially since DBD did murder my favorite killer, and right now the game is just kind of tough. It is really tough to like want to boot up the game when I basically had one killer I enjoyed playing and they murdered him. But I would welcome a new source of entertainment at least for a little while DBD and I go to like couples counseling. But that's my opinion. That's how I'm feeling. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to hearing more about this. Now I want to know what you think. Are you looking forward to this? Do you think it's going to be a good game? Am I just high on some copium? Is this not going to be nearly as good as I think it will be? I don't know. I just want to hear your thoughts. But anyway, let me know down below. I always look forward to reading through all of the comments. And until the next one, thank you so much for watching this video. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness.